Hello and welcome to another episode. So, for those of you that usually check out these episodes on YouTube or the blog, I am recording for the podcast and I turn them into a blog that people can read the content, but I want to bring me and myself and little updates along the way so it becomes like a story, like I used to do into my episodes. So, I wanted to start off with this. So today's episode is actually about freedom but first business strategy and how I designed it and how you can too. And I'm talking about designing a time-rich business as well. And this is a concept I've come up with and it's what I'm passionate about working towards. So I'm going to take you on that journey. But before we get into that today, I just want to talk about the last 6 weeks of my life where I'm at, and actually time richness plays its part in this in some instances as well. So you might have noticed if you're a regular podcast listener, or maybe you haven't at all, I'd like to think you had, but if you are a regular subscriber, and you may have noticed there's not been any episodes. So we did have one in September. We decided to reduce the schedule down, which meant that we had 2 episodes a month rather than 4, so that I could focus on bringing you quality over quantity, because we're in a world where we are thrown a lot of content. So that was the first decision that I made, and that was taking effect in September. However, the 1st of September hit and I was actually ill. So at the time where I love to, it's like New Year for me, new goals, the kids are back to school, getting back into routine after summer. I love the vibe of it. September is also my birth month and it's my son's birthday as well. So I love the energy around September. I love it. But this year, it was a very, very different story to the regular September that we have. So unfortunately, the start of September I was poorly and I just brushed it off and thought it was kind of a normal, well it was a viral infection. However, this was unlike something else I'd ever experienced before. I physically couldn't get up and do normal day-to-day things. It was completely zapping my energy. It was incredibly difficult because my son was at his new school, which is high school, so he needed to get used to the journey, so I was walking him there, but then I was getting home after the 20-minute walk and literally laying down on the couch, couldn't move, I was shaking, I was just genuinely not dealing well, like my energy was shocking. So by the time the viral infection actually started to get better and started to improve, like I weren't in pain anymore, but I was still getting consistent high temperatures, this shaky feeling, these energy lows. And I went to see my doctor, I went to hospital, I was there for 14 hours as they did a workup on me and did some tests, and they were all done within an hour. It was the wait to see the doctor that was the long game. Saw the doctor, who asked me to come back 2 days later. By this point was 11th of September, which was my birthday. So I spent 4 hours in hospital in the morning on my birthday. And to be honest, I didn't really want to do anything by this point because I was still incredibly struggling. And it was a doctor there that helped me and said, basically, the prognosis was that I had suffered a really bad viral infection. But when they did tests, I was showing an infection in my urine and I was, my D-dimer in my blood was showing a potential risk of blood clot. So they were more worried about the blood clot, but because of my age they didn't want a CT scan. So that was worrying, but there was no signs at all of a blood clot other than this anomaly, I believe it's an anomaly, within my blood. So that was all going on for about 11 days, even on my birthday, and the doctor I saw changed things for me because she told me how to take just paracetamol and ibuprofen continuously so that I wasn't continuously having these episodes where I was going hot, going cold and struggling with these energy levels. And it worked for the temperature, but it didn't work for the energy levels. The energy stuff carried on for another week, so by this point we're coming well into like the 4th week of September. And why is this relevant? It's relevant because I was actually unable to work. It meant there was no podcast episodes recorded, no blogs written, no content on social media. no emails going out, and I was really disappointed because at this point I was wanting to sell the remaining tickets for my Innovation Celebration 2025 business event, which if you haven't heard about it, it's a business conference pretty much, but it's a fun one. We come together, we celebrate our year in business, me, you and your peers, like everybody, like-minded people. We celebrate our year, but we innovate and look to the future and what we are creating as individual people in our own worlds, in our own businesses, and the impact we want to have. And I was excited and geared up for this at the start of September, but it just didn't happen. However, that was majorly frustrating. It actually impacted my income. I am going to be so transparent about that. It impacted what I was able to do. My team were amazing and still did things behind the scenes. And it had its massive impact, right? However, the beauty of this is that I still had enough money come into my business to cover my outgoings for September because of the clients that I have one-to-one in my membership, in my mastermind, and have I got any other offers? A couple of others that are paying me on payment plans. So I had these recurring payments coming in. And that meant I could still cover my outgoings in September as a baseline, right? And bigger than that for me is that I was able to take the time to rest. I was able to step back to give myself, my body what I needed and to find some answers as well. I believe I was suffering with POTS after being ill with this viral infection. And then fast forward to the end of September, I started with pain in my left side of my glands and up my jaw and into my ear, and I cracked my tooth. So on the same day I went and had my tooth removed. I went and saw the GP, actually saw a pharmacist, then a GP about this pain. Again, possibly off the back of this viral infection, nothing to warrant antibiotics, even though my ear was inflamed. I've still got this going on right now, keep getting pain. However, the extraction I had on my tooth meant that the anaesthetic didn't wear off fully. So I had 2 injections, one at the back, one at the front, and the front one didn't wear off. So for the past 2.5 weeks, half of my mouth and my chin and my face has been numb, which makes it incredibly difficult to eat and drink, hot and cold. I can't bite things because I will bite myself because I can't feel the sensation that you usually feel. And I'm now on vitamins for that, and I've got to be reassessed next week. So that's what's happened in my life. Bit of a life update, and all of this, it did get me down. It was challenging. However, I'm really grateful of the freedom that I've had in being able to do what I need to do in order to still come back to business and get back on track. And today I want to talk you through this freedom first business strategy and how I have designed my time rich business and how you can too. Because the reality is as I've come back, I've got lots of time. I've caught up within 2 weeks. I come back nice and steady and slow. I didn't jump in all at once, mindful of my energy, and obviously I'm still healing, like my mouth, my ear, the things that are going on. But I'm proud of myself for taking what I needed. And I want this to be a lesson to you as a watcher, as a listener, wherever you're tuning in from, on building freedom into your business, because it's not just about the money we make, it's also about the impact we have and us as human beings and our health as well. So I'm about to take you into the freedom first business strategy approach. So the first thing is why does freedom matter more than ever? So since 2020 and the lockdowns, business freedom has become one of the most sought after desires. But what does true freedom in business actually mean? So for entrepreneurs, creating a time-rich lifestyle is often the ultimate goal. Not just more money, but more choice. It's about choice. And for some, it's travelling the world and sipping cocktails on the beach. And for others, it's building a lifestyle where you choose how, when, and where you work. For me, freedom is the ability to travel twice a year, go on holidays with my family, but it's also to enjoy the comfort of being at home, spending quality time with my family and finding creativity in daily life. And most recently, massively working on my health. Freedom is personal and it will look different for every business owner. So I want you to think about what freedom means for you, what that looks like for you. Which brings me into step 1 of this freedom first strategy, and that is around getting clear on what freedom does mean to you. So before you can create freedom in business, you need clarity and an aligned business strategy. In my CHARM framework, if you haven't heard of it before, I have a framework called the CHARM framework. And in my best-selling book, Business Fundamentals, I always start with clarity because it paves the way for fulfillment and freedom. We can't get anywhere on this roadmap we create ourselves unless we have a vision of where we're going and we know exactly what we want. And it starts with clarity. So why does clarity really create freedom? It is the foundation in business. It is the foundation of freedom in business. And if you don't know what your version of freedom looks like, then you risk building a business model that doesn't align with your true desires. So without clarity, it can be easy to fall into building a business model that isn't aligned, rather than designing a flexible business model that supports your lifestyle. So I want you to sit back and take time to ask yourself, grab a notebook, write these questions down, and then spend some time after this episode and sit with them. Ask yourself, what do I really want in my life and business? What do I really want my life and business to look like? If there were no excuses, what ifs or restrictions, how would I spend my time? And finally, how many hours do I actually want to work each week? And it starts there. I don't want you to give me the yes, what ifs and buts. I want you to just answer these questions for yourself openly and honestly. And then step 2 of designing your time-rich lifestyle is recognizing freedom doesn't happen by chance. You have to intentionally design a time-rich lifestyle that works for you. So you don't need to follow a cookie-cutter business model. You get to choose. So going back to one of those questions, how many hours do you want to work? This is the first step in designing this lifestyle. Consider both client delivery and the behind-the-scenes activities like marketing, admin and sales. This is where creating a flexible business model matters. It's one that allows you to adapt and grow. So over time, freedom might mean outsourcing or hiring a team, but start by setting a clear vision now. So for example, I choose to work a 4-day work week. I still have purpose and momentum in my business. I actually run 2 businesses, but I also have flexibility. Like the day last week where I swapped a Zoom call for a chocolate brownie at lunch with my husband. No, I didn't cancel on the person. She actually couldn't make the call. But because I'd gone out for dinner, I actually got to choose to have a chocolate brownie and stay in the carvery, Toby Carvery, for longer. Freedom also means working in ways that you enjoy. So in my coaching and mentoring packages, I encourage clients to ditch cookie-cutter strategies and build marketing and sales systems that feel natural to them. It's got to be natural to you. Which brings me into aligning with how you work with what you love. This is about building an authentic marketing strategy that matches your strengths. And I've got 2 real examples here. My own business, where I have recently doubled down on what I love, which is writing, podcasting and talking strategy. I built my marketing strategy around Instagram, Facebook, email, my blog and my podcast. I call these my business assets, right? And I have doubled down on what I love to do. I love talking. I love giving value. So I've doubled down on that. And as a result, before I got ill and I wasn't doing it, I saw an increase in my reach, I saw an increase in my engagement, and I also I sold out an offer without it going public, and there was another stat as well around that, but I can't quite remember. But all the stats were up. Website visits were up as well. And I did do other things alongside, like specifically working on my Instagram following, specifically working on SEO, and all of this contributed. But I went and worked on writing, podcasting and talking about what I love and what I'm good at to help the people that I know I can help. And the second example is my client's business. So I have a client inside my Time Rich Mastermind and she dislikes social media, but she loves the PR that her business has been getting, and it's actually created a lot of visibility for her and her company, and they've become known for what they do. It's very mission led. And so I pushed her into pivoting towards PR opportunities over social media that she wasn't enjoying. And then what happened as a result of this, literally 1 week later, was she quickly landed new visibility and paid contracts, which is insane. It's mind-blowing, but as soon as you align yourself and do what you love, the energy shifts and you get a result from that. And then step 3, which is one that is massively important for me, and I talk about this a lot, but I'm so passionate about it, is creating your dream schedule. So step 3 for your time-rich lifestyle is to create your dream schedule. Once you're clear on how you want to work, so we've talked about that, how many hours, how you want to work, it's time to build a dream business schedule that reflects your lifestyle vision. A dream schedule is about simplicity, not overcomplication. And I want to talk to you about the power of themed days. So instead of time blocking, I use themed days, something that I teach in my daily CEO habits episode. So there's a blog, there's an episode, there's a YouTube. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out. Daily CEO habits was one of my favourite to do, full of value, all around time management and these habits that you put in on a daily basis to become a successful 5-figure and above business owner. And doing this, the power of theme days, right? It allows me to have around 6 client-facing days per month, keeping my group sessions consistent and still enjoy spa days, family time, or a midweek lunch day. Remember the brownie I talked about a minute ago? And that is the power of a time-rich lifestyle. So structure that gives you more freedom. This is why I'm obsessed with organisation and operations. It doesn't create restriction, it creates freedom. A dream schedule isn't about overcomplicating things. It's about making simple, effective decisions that have a big impact on both your business and your lifestyle. And so I want to wrap things up and share my final thoughts on freedom. Freedom is yours to create. Freedom in business isn't about following someone else's rules. It's about clarity, alignment, and building a business that fits your vision of a flexible business model and a time-rich lifestyle. So start by defining what freedom looks like for you, design your business around those goals, and create a schedule that supports your version of success. Remember, it's your business, you get to choose. And are you creating more freedom in your business? If you are, my Time Rich Mastermind will help you design your lifestyle, build a strategy that feels authentic, and put systems in place to achieve balance. Join us and create the time rich lifestyle that you have been dreaming of. And I will see you in the next 2 weeks with another episode jam-packed with value to help you to create your time rich lifestyle, to connect with more people, to bring you more money, but also have more impact, because that is what I'm passionate about creating and it's what I love to do. Thank you for joining me for this episode.